So here's my DIY CNC Sander attachment. The goal of this project was to see if sanding with a CNC machine was a useful option, if it actually produced good results. And not for this machine in particular. This is a pretty small machine that I actually bought for cheap off Craigslist, and then I found a box, an old alarm box, as you can see, that somebody threw away, and I made a control box out of that and wired all that together. But in the hopefully near future, I plan to build a big CNC machine, and I'm hoping that this can cut down on sanding time. So I've done a lot of tabletops where I've had to spend hours and hours sanding, and I wanted to find a viable way to cut down on that time without having to buy a drum sander as well. So if you've got any suggestions for that, let me know in the comments. Here you can see my 3D model of it. There's two holes that just clamp onto the sander, and there's two holes in the back that mount it to the CNC machine. Now you can see that the inner circle of this is just the diameter of the sander, and the outer circle is just the thickness of the part. And I made one side and just mirrored it over. So you can see I 3D printed this. Now if you're interested in this video, you might not have a 3D printer, but you probably have a CNC router. You could pretty easily machine this on a CNC router, but if you do have a 3D printer, I recommend that because you don't have to locate those holes after you've machined the part. So here you can see me just assembling it. The two bolts go through, and now you can see it mounted onto the machine. I just let these bolts cut their own threads, but I think I would use a nut and bolt if I was implementing it in the future. So here's a Python program I wrote. You just type in the dimensions of your board and how deep you want it to sand, and it writes some G-code for you. Now, I've never written in Python, and I've never written in G-code, so if you take the time to read that G-code, it's probably rough. Just cut me a break, please. Now we'll see another angle of it working. Again, this is proof of concept. I just wanted to see if it would work or not. This is a scrap board that's extremely warped. You can see it's not even flat on the table. You may not be able to see it. There's a little bit of bouncing in the sanding, but when I ran my hand over it, it actually felt very smooth. So I was very happy with the results. This was much better than I do by hand. And once I've done a big sanding job, I tend to get lazy and, stay over one part that isn't needed. So this did a very good job. I was happy with it. It left a small line in the middle, which I think I could get rid of just by the amount of step over I do in my CNC program. So if you've got any questions or comments or recommendations for future videos, just let me know in the comments. If anybody plans on implementing this on a bigger table, let me know how it goes. I'd be very interested to hear. And thank you for watching.